In your health tonight, it may be surprising to hear, but people ages 15 to 40 have one of the highest rates of dying from cancer.
The diagnosis often missed because of their age. News Center 5's Heather Unruh tells us a local woman is hoping her experience with the disease can help change that.
Stephanie Corliss was an active teenager.
I danced for several years, played basketball.
But by age 14, she was changing fast with unexplained weight gain.
I was never like a homebody that would sit still.
And no reason to be gaining 30 pounds without any
No.
explanation in 6 months' time.
No.
And extreme fatigue.
It was draining. I just could not get out of bed in the morning.
You definitely do look tired.
That just kind of shows how I felt.
She knew she didn't feel well, but
I didn't know that it wasn't normal to be tired.
instead of tests, her doctor ordered therapy.
She said that I was a closet eater, so she sent me because I had gained so much weight.
It was the therapist who correctly suspected hypothyroidism, which causes the body's system to slow down.
I was told, you'll just have to take a pill for the rest of your life. You should start to feel normal.
Did you?
Not even close. For 14 years, she fought that fatigue and weight gain.
So we just kept increasing the medication, and I still wasn't feeling great.
By age 26, she'd had enough. Stephanie demanded to meet again with her doctor.
And he's like, I don't know what to tell you, Stephanie, but, something's not working here. And he's like, Stephanie, I think you just need to admit that you're overweight and lazy.
That was your tipping point.
Yep. I will never forget him looking me straight in the eyes and saying that. And I said, well, I really feel like you're wrong, and I'm going to go seek a second opinion.
A specialist at Mass General who listened.
He asked me to describe all my symptoms to him. And he said, I think your thyroid is either shriveled up and dead, or you have thyroid cancer.
A biopsy confirmed. Stage 4 papillary thyroid cancer, likely growing for 10 years.
I had 50 lymph nodes removed. 33 of them were cancerous.
Her first reaction wasn't fear.
I was relieved that somebody knows what it is. Somebody has pinpointed what the problem is.
You had an answer.
Yeah, and I had not had an answer in 14 years.
Today, she wishes she could talk to her younger self.
I want to tell her things could be different, speak up.
A message she passes on at local schools. She's a survivor speaker for an organization called 1540 Connection, which helps young people recognize cancer at its earliest stages.
I pushed that it's okay to say, no, I don't agree with you, and to go and seek another opinion, because, and I say it just like this, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that inside voice that said, go seek another opinion.
Listening to her instincts saved her life.
I'm alive.
Yes, she is, and thank heavens for that. Her best advice to young people is this: remember what great feels like. Know your normal feeling. Use what's called the 2-week rule. If changes in your health last longer than 2 weeks, you need to call the doctor and share everything with your doctor, no matter how embarrassing. That could be life-saving for you. You know your body best, Stephanie says. Don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion.
I was afraid to look at myself for the first, 3 days. Across the street here.
He is the first man in America to receive a penis transplant, granting his first interview to News Center 5. It is an ordeal that some may have wanted to keep private.
But he tells me that he's going public in an effort to help others, handling his historic surgery with grace and a pretty amazing sense of humor.
Great, how are you?
Thomas Manning isn't shy about why he wanted to be the first.
The reason why I wanted that transplant is because they amputated mine. Why? Because they took mine and I want it back. That's all.
4 years after doctors amputated his penis due to a traumatic accident and cancer, he got his wish.
You look down and say, welcome back.
Oh, yeah, I did. Don't worry, buddy. It's just you and me now.
He's funny, candid, and determined to break the stigma surrounding genital trauma. He wants to reach wounded vets, get them to see they too might get a second chance.
You take an 18, 20, 22-year-old guy, 25-year-old guy, and you tell me, I'm sorry, buddy, it's gone. You're going to have nothing. You just think, I'm never going to go out on a date again. No one's going to want me. No one's going to think I'm attractive again. I can't have sex again. Can't do this again. Can't do that again. When you're 18 to 25 and you take that away from a kid, you take every chance in life that he has.
Manning says his biggest fear pre-transplant was the pain. Could he handle it? To his relief,
I have felt no pain at all, and I don't know why.
So you're not on any pain medication? Nothing.
No pain at all, and I don't know why. And I don't ask for any drugs or anything.
Just an antibiotic and anti-rejection drugs he'll need for life.
In a couple of weeks, I'll be out of here, getting on with my life.
With deep gratitude,
I thought a lot about the donor.
a young man whose tragic death made his new path possible.
In a few weeks, I'll be able to send a card to the family.
What would you like them to know now?
For now and to the rest of my life, I'll try to do the best I can in the honor of the victim.
What's the future like for you?
I just want to be pretty much happy. I want to be balanced and happy.
He's definitely well on his way to that. Manning will be released in roughly 10 days. He is healing ahead of schedule, but he's still very wobbly on his feet. Today's goal was to get up and walk, first time. Tonight at 7, he's talking about that 4-year wait for a transplant and what he wants most for the future.
On 5 tonight, the man who...
Exclusively on 5, Heather is breaking an important development in Alzheimer's disease.
This is an entirely new theory that Alzheimer's is really a diabetes of the brain. Now, we don't usually report on drug studies this early, but this drug had such rapid, significant improvements for patients. We wanted you to know what's coming down the pipeline.
The drug, known as T3D959, is completely different than anything else on the market or being investigated to treat Alzheimer's disease.
It's a unique molecule. It's a unique investigational drug, which is designed to hit the very earliest stages of the disease before even the plaques and tangles develop and the memory problems develop in these patients.
Dr. Warren Strittmatter says the brain is dependent on glucose as an energy source. Here's a normal brain image. Red areas indicate higher glucose metabolism. Now look at an Alzheimer's image. Reduction of that glucose metabolism is a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease.
Cells in the brain, like we see cells in the body in diabetes, are not able to use glucose as much. So the goal of a medication like T3D959 would be to enhance brain cells' ability to use this fuel to enhance their metabolism.
The phase 2 study involved just 36 patients at 2 sites in North Carolina and Florida. There was no placebo. Each patient got the real drug, T3D959. 1 pill a day for just 2 weeks. The impact almost immediate. Significant memory improvement in 53% of patients. Caregivers were astonished.
They saw their loved ones being more involved and engaged in activities during the day. They felt that they were sharper in terms of memory and language. They were more organized during the day.
That's phenomenal.
But Jim Wessler, president of the Mass New Hampshire Alzheimer's Association, cautions against celebrating too soon.
Given a very small sample size, we really need to see more participants to see if this holds up as you move from dozens to hundreds and hundreds of participants. But I would say encouraging.
The main message here is that there is hope for improving the quality of lives for people with Alzheimer's disease. There's hope in getting closer to a cure.
The study also was able to document the improvements on brain imaging scans. So what's needed now, a much larger study, as Dr. Wessler said, hundreds of patients at sites all across the country to see if these results will hold up. Look for those to get started in roughly 18 months.
Can't come soon enough, I know.
No,
so
I know,
fingers
I know.
crossed. Let's
but,
hope they keep moving.
It's hope, and
yes.
they're making progress.
That's what we need in that. All right.
She has come such a long way since the life-changing moments on Boylston Street 3 years ago. And on Monday, Adrienne Haslett-Davis will mark another huge accomplishment. She'll be one of the first survivors with a leg amputation to run the entire marathon. The journey, a mix of emotions.
Never a runner, not on 2 legs anyway. Now, try to stop her.
I never want to portray that it's easy for me. I'm doing it to show how hard it is.
Hard enough just to survive the marathon bombing that took her leg 3 years ago. But now, Adrienne Haslett-Davis intends to run the Boston as an amputee.
I'm not inspired by the amputee that's crossing the finish line or standing on top of the mountain. I'm inspired by the struggle and the deep, raw grit that it took to get there. And I think Boston Marathon does a good job of showing the grit.
Why challenge herself to 26.2 miles?
I wanted to say a giant thank you to everyone who's ever reached out and given a hug or a letter or kind words to myself and all the other survivors out there.
But there's another reason.
And it's also a big way to say, take it. to the people that did this. A lot of it is just, you know, you tried to tear us down, and we're trying to pick up the pieces, and we're going to show you how we're doing that.
Some days are better than others.
I still shed tears year-round. I will always mourn the loss of my leg. I still wake up and forget that it's gone, and then all of a sudden I try and move, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
On Marathon Monday, her speed isn't important.
I will walk part of it. I'm planning on walking Heartbreak Hill to enjoy every single minute of it, not because I can't run it, but because I want to enjoy the moment.
And to cross the finish line, a moment that's required a different kind of training, therapy.
We've been working toward what it would be like to cross the finish line, and there was really nothing that can prepare you for that moment. And so I guess I just hope I have enough hydration to cry and run at the same time.
You think there'll be a lot of tears?
A lot of tears, yeah, a lot. I tear up just thinking about it, yeah.
I'm tearing up just thinking about it, aren't you? She has a lot of concerns and fears. She's done her long runs, but she's never done the 26.2. And she has to repeatedly change that rubber sleeve that keeps her prosthetic attached in order to prevent injuring her skin. She's also worried about running with 30,000 people. She says she does not want to clip anyone with that prosthetic blade because obviously that could hurt someone.
And there's also a secondary thing, too. It's going to be warm. And this is warmer during race time when she's going through. So.
Mostly, though, she's feeling positive and energized. And you heard her say she feels the energy coming from Boston right now. She can't wait to get out there.
Adrian, everyone's going to be cheering you along. And Harvey is bringing you sunshine anyway. At least you're not running in snow.
All right, what would you do if your child had a rare disorder but no one could tell you what caused it? A Middleton family has spent years seeing experts desperately trying to just get a diagnosis for their son.
News Center 5's Heather Unruh explains how they might finally get an answer.
7-year-old Zach Nickel lights up around trucks and all things electronic. You can see it in his eyes, but he can't tell you his likes.
He's able to make noise, but he's not able to speak yet.
And he can't breathe without a trach. Zach has many challenges.
He has moderate hearing loss, low vision, some tone issues, so that puts him in a wheelchair.
And what frustrates Mom most is doctors can't explain why.
And it's challenging for me to always think maybe there's something we could be doing that would help him if we had a diagnosis and maybe could explain things better.
Zach is a medical mystery.
The question we also get from any adult is kind of like, well, what's a diagnosis? Like, we don't have one. Like, what do you mean you don't have one? It's like, we don't have one. It's, you know, it's not for lack of looking.
We're pretty confident that what he has is something that really is unique.
Dr. David Sweetser and the nation's top geneticists are trying to crack the code. Zach's case being investigated by the Undiagnosed Disease Network.
These are the most challenging patients that are in the medical system.
Based at Harvard Medical School and funded by the National Institutes of Health, the UDN pools experts from 7 top clinical sites across the country. Dr. Sweetser believes they'll solve Zach's case.
Generally, when you see somebody who has unique physical features as well as other congenital abnormalities, it's extremely likely that there's an underlying genetic cause for it.
Using the most advanced genome sequencing to look for irregularities, they're studying the genetic blueprints of Zach and his parents. They've already found something unusual.
This variant that we saw was what we call a de novo variant. And these are pretty rare that we find something that's brand new in a child that we don't see in either of the parents.
And Sweetser suspects skin samples will reveal more.
Zachary, where we were really suspicious that he had a connective tissue disorder, the fibroblast, a very valuable source of material that we can study.
For us as a family, we just like to be able to know, like, if it gives us better answers about how we can better take care of Zach. Also, is it something that we could pass on to our other kids that we haven't had yet?
As you might imagine, that's something they're particularly interested in knowing. Later this month, Dr. Sweetser will present Zach's case to the UDN's National Steering Committee. That means 100 of the most premier geneticists in this country will begin weighing in. They have solved other medical mysteries. Hopefully they can find the answers the Nichols so desperately need.
Yeah.
Well, she grew up tanning on Massachusetts beaches. Sunblock simply wasn't a part of the equation. The goal was to have that summery glow.
Years later, she learned the consequences. News Center 5's Heather Unruh shares one woman's mission to celebrate pale skin.
They married on the summer solstice. Frank and Andrea Heitker, soulmates.
We got married on June 21st of 2008 because it was the happiest day of the year. That's what they say.
That much was true. But 9 months later, life as they knew it abruptly changed.
I was initially diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma in 2009.
Desperate for information, she exhausted the internet.
And at the time, I just couldn't really find anything that fit my needs. Everything was sort of doom and gloom versus, feeling hope.
Andrea went to work, blogging her experience and creating the website Melanoma Girl, proud to be pale.
The mission of Melanoma Girl is to educate and encourage people to realize the risk of overexposure to UV rays. I want it to be fun and approachable.
Creativity came pouring out. She decided SPF needed new meaning.
She just burst, she just said, "You sexy pale female," and I knew right away. I'm like, that's awesome.
Her fresh message resonating far and wide.
I've shipped my t-shirts to different countries, and the purpose of the website is to provide information, of course, but not from a clinical perspective at all.
She made being sun-savvy cool, and even her idol took notice with a holiday surprise.
Hi, Andrea. Merry Christmas. I heard you started the Melanoma Girl website and the Proud to Be Pale tagline, and it's really cool what you're doing, creating awareness and saving lives, and I just encourage you to hang tough and keep fighting, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I was just overwhelmed. It was wonderful that he recognized Melanoma Girl as well. So it was very cool, really very, very exciting.
What are you going to remember most about her?
Probably her smile. She had such a big heart.
Tragically, Andrea died in April.
She lived a great life. She just did it in 44 years.
Her to-do list still on the fridge, a window to her sweet soul.
Smile, hug, puppy snuggles, laugh, drink wine, look at the ocean, more puppy snuggles, and then repeat.
And her message to young women lives strong.
Women are beautiful in their own skin, the way they are. And that's what she always, wanted people to understand and be proud of.
Such an important message. Andrea's Melanoma Girl Foundation received a $20,000 grant thanks to the Lester A. Rosen Humanitarian Award. That ceremony was held the day before she died. Frank says family and friends will continue her mission, promoting education, raising awareness, and encouraging young women to proudly be pale. 1 year ago today, a baby girl came into this world, bringing hope to a family that was suffering unspeakable heartache. She'll never know her dad, cardiac surgeon Michael Davidson. He was senselessly gunned down 3 months earlier at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Tonight, his widow is sharing how she and the kids are doing and how she's honoring her husband's legacy.
He was my rock, the person that I wanted to tell about everything. I miss calling him and knowing he can solve the problem.
Friends say Michael Davidson's last gift to his wife, Terry, was their daughter, Michaela.
Is she like her dad?
She looks like him a little bit. Certainly got that round face.
A mellow baby, a much-needed ray of light.
Michaela gave us a focus, the whole family a focus. My older girls help take care of her as much as they can. My son is just enthralled with his baby sister.
Graham, the spitting image of his dad, with the same gentle soul.
He will sometimes just come over to me and put his hand on my face and just say, "I love you, Mommy." And it's the sweetest thing.
Moments like that and this have kept her going, running a form of therapy for this suddenly single mother of 4.
It's my happy place where I've been able to think and get out some of the things that have kept me up at night. And it's just calming.
A love she shared with her husband. This picture taken when he ran the Boston Marathon to commemorate his 40th birthday. And she jumped in to run 10 miles with him.
And this year, he was planning to run Boston with me for my 40th birthday, which is coming up. So I thought it would be a great tribute to him to run this race in his honor.
Training with his colleagues and close friends, raising money for a fellowship at the Brigham in Michael's name, a lasting legacy for a brilliant doctor and family man.
So I know that he would have been positive and cheerful and saying, "You can do it, you can do it." I'll carry that with me as I'm running those 26.2 miles. I've likened running a marathon to our journey in life. and that, you know, everyone can help you along the way, but really it's our own 2 legs and our mind that can get us to that finish line.
You think he'll be with you?
Absolutely. I think he's been with me this past year, and he'll be with me forever.
She's a remarkable woman. This was a huge loss to his family, but also to the medical community. Dr. Davidson was a pioneer. He combined cardiac surgery with less invasive interventional cardiology. And this fellowship that she's raising money for ensures that excellent patient care lives on. And if you'd like to support Terry's run, and we hope you will find a link on our website, wcvb.com. She's a little bit sore now. She says as soon as this is over, she plans to just spend time focusing on her 4 kids, but also her medical practice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. She's a doctor too, right?
She's a plastic surgeon,
yeah.
Yes, and somehow has been a great mom and a runner, and it's just amazing how she has combined everything in this
You know
last
what?
year.
She got me when she said that her son would come up and touch her face.
Well, for sure, it is one of the most devastating injuries an athlete can suffer, a torn ACL. It's becoming an increasingly prevalent problem, even in middle school.
And the recovery is rough. But tonight, Heather Unruh reports on a game-changing new procedure from Boston Children's Hospital.
It was a bluebird day on Pico Mountain. That's Corey Peak, all smiles, poles up. Minutes later, he took a nasty fall and heard 2 loud pops.
One of them was actually the ski binding on my right coming undone. Unfortunately, my ski binding on the left didn't come undone, so that pop was actually the ACL rupturing. It's a scary event.
Requiring surgery, where doctors have to harvest a tendon from a healthy hamstring to reconstruct the torn ACL. Patients have to rehabilitate and recover from both.
This is going to be a worldwide recognized advance.
Today, Boston Children's Hospital announced results of a clinical trial on a groundbreaking new procedure led by Dr. Martha Murray.
It was very exciting, and it was really overwhelming.
Murray's team believed they could stimulate the torn ACL to heal itself, something that had never been done.
So if we can make the ACL heal by implanting a sponge between the torn ends and stimulating the ends to grow back together, we don't have to take a graft from the knee anymore, and that way the patient doesn't have to heal the site where the graft was taken from.
Corey Peak was the first of 10 patients. Would it work?
We really didn't know for sure, so to see it actually look like it was working was incredible.
Here's the moment they knew. When at 3 months post-surgery, this MRI gave a first look inside Corey's knee. Children's cameras were rolling.
There's stuff there. Oh my goodness, it looks great. I can't believe it.
A stunning breakthrough. His ACL healed itself. Corey's 1 year post-op.
I've been cleared for everything, which is really great. I frequently will forget which knee was actually injured, so I'll have to pause for a second, remember where the brace was, and then I'll be able to tell people it was the left knee.
This was a phase 1 safety trial involving 20 patients. 10 had the new procedure, 10 the reconstruction involving the grafting. All healed very well. A larger phase 2 trial is now getting underway, and Children's is recruiting patients ages 14 to 35. Early results suggest the repaired ACL may work as well as a reconstructed one, hopefully speeding recovery and reducing the risk of arthritis long term. Phil and JC, It's exciting.
It is exciting. All right, Heather, thank you.
So let me ask you, have you ever wondered what it's like to have Alzheimer's?
Well, it can be terribly hard, as you know, on caregivers, but what about the experience for the patients? News Center 5's Heather Unruh is there as a wife takes a virtual tour, a simulated walk in her husband's shoes.
I think Steve and I have a pretty extraordinary relationship.
But it's changed drastically since Steve Johansson's Alzheimer's diagnosis.
Early on in his diagnosis, he would wake up sometimes and say to me, my brain is firing. You know, I can feel things in my brain.
Judy wants to really understand his struggles: irritability, confusion, frustration. Josh Freitas has the tools to help.
So these glasses, I'm just going to have you put them on for a second.
Oh, wow.
Limiting what she can see is just the start. Shoe inserts create painful sensations that mimic neuropathy. Gloves dull the sensation, and elastics bind her fingers together, making grasping things difficult. And to simulate that chaotic mental state,
We are going to be compromising your hearing.
headphones blared this. She's about to learn what it's like to walk in Steve's shoes.
For me to have this insight into what he sees is just feels like an incredible opportunity.
Suddenly, simple daily tasks
Can you make the bed for me?
are difficult. Things most of us take for granted: brushing your teeth, getting a coffee cup from the cabinet, finding anything in your pocketbook.
Can you find the puzzle piece and the hair curler in your purse, please?
Very hard to see and decipher one thing from another. I don't think the hair curl is in here. Ah.
For Judy, it's just 15 minutes.
How does that feel?
Like a relief and a half.
For Steve, it's nonstop.
Could you imagine living like this all the time?
No, I'd be petrified. I'd be petrified to leave my own space.
A powerful experience, a profoundly changed understanding.
And I feel will help me be a better caregiver. But to actually walk in those shoes and know what it feels like for him, I just wish he didn't have to.
So emotional. This simulation is so impactful. I actually went through it as well, and you cannot help but feel very deep compassion and a much better understanding, which experts say translates into better care. The residents at Valley Farm in Ashland makes this required training for all of its employees now. It's really important development.
It's quite powerful. I just, wow.
Yeah.
Gives you a great appreciation for what life is like.
Definitely, and I would think it makes you a better caregiver.
Yeah. Therefore, the understanding is going to make you better, right?
Exactly.
All right, with the start of the flu season almost upon us, it's time to think about protection.
Today, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued its new flu vaccine recommendation, and there's a big change. News Center 5's Heather Unruh with the information parents need to hear.
No mom looks forward to their child getting a shot, but when it comes to preventing influenza,
yeah, I think we'll do it.
every child over the age of 6 months needs a flu shot. Gone from this year's recommendations, the nasal spray vaccine.
Flu mist is no longer recommended for protection against influenza because it just didn't work.
I don't want her to get the flu by any means. I just hate shots.
If you can hold her hands over on this side.
But Candace knows the pain of this quick shot is far better than little Jem getting influenza. And the time to get the vaccine is now. Dr. Claire McCarthy with the American Academy of Pediatrics says it's not just about protecting your family, but everyone around you.
Sometimes families will say to me, we're not worried about the flu, my kids are healthy, they'll do fine. That may be true that their child would do okay with the flu, but what about their neighbor's newborn? What about their grandmother? What about that child at school who's on chemotherapy for cancer? They may not do well with the flu. And if you get it or your kid gets it, you could give it to them.
And Dr. McCarthy points out, while the flu shot is not 100% effective, if enough people around you get the vaccine, your protection is higher. The Academy wants everyone vaccinated for this year's flu season by October.
The most important thing to do with flu vaccination is to prevent the flu, and the most effective way to do that is with the shot.
Now, I know some people do believe that the flu shot makes them feel sick after. Dr. McCarthy says you absolutely cannot catch the flu from the vaccine. It's not possible. It is possible you'll feel sore at the injection site, though, and some people do run a fever the next day. That is not influenza, and any side effects are short-lived. Ben and JC.
All right, good information, Heather. Thank you.